the questions that were asked, people that asked questions in the form, and I was seeing the kind of questions that they asked, and it made me realize that okay, okay, yeah, thank you very much. So it made me realize that that there is just so much that we need to actually do to actually discover our true self. So without wasting much of our time, I will go ahead and introduce our speaker for today, and who is Mr. Tola. That's T.A. Alabi. He is a sage thinker. Please give me. Okay, wait. Let me just introduce him. Finish. Let me finish the introduction. Then I'll give you those those reactions. I really love reactions. No, not that kind of reactions, but like all these engagements and stuff like that. So Tolati Alabi is a sage thinker and a teacher of godly life principles. He considers himself as simply as a curious student of life, and he shares his unique thoughts and insights on life, work, and relationships, which he sums up as a life branding in his podcast, Pro Up Masterclass. And his passion is giving light to the minds of people and helping them find their true identity. He lives by this personal philosophy: know yourself and blossom. Know yourself and blossom. Like when I saw that, I was so captivated by that alone. And he's a well sought after public speaker, a mentor, personality. He has actually mentored me in like I've been following him quite a lot of times. And he's a mentor and a teacher, constantly connecting with people through public speaking engagement, private clarity sessions, and corporate thinking. And that private clarity session is what we are having right now. So please, all the questions you have to ask him, just bring them up. You can start putting them down when he starts speaking. So now I'm bringing Mr. Tolati Alabi to the stage. Please give him a round of applause. Everywhere has to be hot. I want to see fire everywhere. I want to see those emojis, those all of please let's see the fire, let's see the I want to see everywhere red. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, thank you very much, sir. You're welcome, sir. I think your mic is muted, sir.
Yeah. I just unmuted it. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you very much, sir.
All right. Great to be here. Thank you for having me. Thanks, Alayode, for keeping up with me over these past few weeks on this, and the build
Uh-huh.
up to it is amazing. I am very honored that you and this um, Zamaru community have decided to host me today. I always like talking to people within this age range. I'm sure a lot of people here are either in their early 20s, mid 20s, at most late 20s. I don't think there's anyone here who is 40 years old. I
Mm.
highly doubt it. So I really enjoy talking to people in this age range. And one thing why I like talking to people in this age range is because you are more receptive, and you are not yet formed yet. You are just like clay. Clay gives you a window by which you can bend it, and if you don't use that window, it gets to a place where it becomes rigid, and if you try to bend it, it will break. So you have not gotten to that stage where you are so rigid and you are not open to new ideas and learning and course correcting. By the time you get to my age, I actually don't like talking to people my age because they are so rigid, and it's hard to course correct. So when you try to bend them, there's resistance.
Mm.
And even when you think they've bent, just go back the next day, they've bent back to what they were. So you are in a very special stage in your lives right now. If you are in your early 20s, your mid 20s, you're in your 20s, and I would even say maybe early 30s. It's a very special time to be alive, and I want you to take advantage of it as much as possible. Um, Today we're going to be going straight into it because I want to spend more time addressing questions than talking from my head. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to just give you a preamble to what we're going to be discussing today. How much time do I have altogether for this session?
Yes, you have 45 minutes, sir.
All right, that's
And we have 15 minutes for questions and answers. But yeah,
all right.
we
That's
can make it as engaging. Depends on how you want it to go.
no, it's great. It sounds great. I don't think I'm going to use up 45 minutes in talking, but I want us to really spend some time answering questions. So what this was themed was reinvention secrets. And that's very interesting because it borders on identity. And identity is something that I realize people struggle with a lot. In all my years of interacting with people, I think most people struggle with a sense of identity. A lot of people feel lost. They don't know what they should be doing with their lives. They don't like what they are doing with their lives. They don't. Some people don't even feel like they have a life. So identity is a very crucial thing. You know, knowing who you are as a person is very important. If you don't know who you are, then you will never know how to operate as how to fully function as a human being. So it's very important for us to get to know who we are. The sense of identity builds a sense of confidence, um, builds a sense of value. There's no way you feel valued if you don't know who you are. And the funny thing is that we have all gone through some kind of trauma in our lives. Most of us, if not all of us, have gone through trauma. Some of us have gone through very early trauma that we don't even know we are traumatized. So some people feel like they know themselves, but what they know is a version of themselves that is not really themselves. I will just try to break that down today. You know, this issue of reinvention, I think is not a lot of reinvention, but more of reconnecting. That's what I would like to see it as. You are never reinventing yourself. You're just connecting to your original self. That's how I see it. And every time we connect more and more to our original self, it might seem like we are changing, but what's happening is that we are just becoming more of who we truly are. And it can be a very uncomfortable process because reconnecting to your original self would mean that you shed off some things. And it might even mean that you begin to lose some friends, lose some opportunities, lose some, associations, lose some money. That's going to happen when you begin to reconnect with who you truly are. It can be a very scary thing, but then it's a very important thing for every person to go through. And I'm going to try you three reasons why people have a challenge in finding their true identity. Three major reasons why people find it very hard to find who they are, to know who they are. And that's why that question of who am I, what am I meant to be doing, what's the purpose of my life is so rampant. It's just three things that shake or blow your vision of who you truly are. And the first thing is a lot of us we over prioritize payment. We over prioritize payment. And what that means is we focus too much on money. So a lot of people that are saying they are looking for themselves, they're not really looking for themselves. What they are looking for is money. And that confusion in itself is can be very misleading. You see, a lot of people think when they have money, they will become the fullest expression of themselves. So a lot of people say, if you give me money, then you would realize, then I would truly blossom. You understand? If I were rich, then I would be able to express myself better. And that is not totally true. As a matter of fact, that thing called money can do more of confusing you than giving you clarity. And the thing about money is that money is best had when you have answers. Money works better with answers. Money is a terrible thing when you don't have answers. When you're looking for answers, money can confuse you all the more. So you see that mentality that we have that if I had money, I would know what to do. Just give me 10 million naira. Just give me 10 million naira and I'll figure out my life. No, if they gave you 10 million naira, a lot of people will be confused. They won't know what to use it for. Your life will go off balance. And I'll use an example. There's a man, his name is Kanye West. I don't know how many people have ever heard of Kanye West, but Kanye West is an American artist. Incredibly talented, incredibly creative. Kanye is one of the most creative people that I've ever heard of in modern times. He's creative, he's talented. But then he's a highly troubled person. Kanye West is a highly troubled person in today's time. And one of the things that threw Kanye West's life off balance is money before he had answers. That's one of the things that threw him off. You see, when he had no money, he was his talent was coming to the front. But the more the money he had, and then I think some year, about 2 years ago, he had this partnership with Adidas, and that totally threw his life off balance. And because he had more money than he had answers, and when you have more money than answers, what happens is confusion. So some of you, one of the worst things that can happen to you right now is for someone to give you the money you desire. It's totally going to stop you from finding who you truly are. When we over prioritize money, it becomes an albatross to us. So one of the best things that can happen to some of you right now is to be poor. Do you understand? Is to be poor. Is to not have that money. You see how much clarity you would have. Because money brings a lot of things. It brings fake friends. It brings fake appreciations. It brings fake compliments. So you never know when you're doing anything right. You never know who really loves you. You never know when people are honest with you. So it will confuse you. So you see, if you don't have those true answers, money will come in and confuse you. But we over prioritize money, so we never find ourselves. And what do I mean by this over prioritization of money? It means that some of us feel we will never do anything, or we will never pay attention to anything if we are not getting paid. If I'm not getting paid, it doesn't make sense. So we don't try out things that don't have a price tag to it. We don't try out things for which we are not getting paid for. And that's one of the most limiting things you can do to yourself as a human being. You see, to find your true identity, you must be willing to play. Play is extremely, extremely important. Those who play discover, but we don't play enough. And it's unfortunate that you have people between that age bracket, 19, 18, 21, 24, who are not playing. You're not playing. You become responsible too early. I believe that we should be more irresponsible. And when I say irresponsible, I don't mean in a viceful way. I mean we should be more irresponsible in an expressive way, where you are not thinking of the outcome of something or what you will gain from it. Because that's what we call responsibility. What you are doing that is making you money. You see, most of the things that I found myself doing right now, I'm over 40 right now. But the things that have made the most sense in my life are the things that I did while I was playing. The deepest discoveries I've had was when I was free and my mind was free in play. And so I want to encourage you, because a lot of you right now are in university, some of you are in ABU and stuff like that. You need to play more. And if you are in a society that doesn't allow you play, someone's asking what does we don't understand what play means. You can see we don't even understand the term play, which is one of the simplest terms in the world today, but we don't understand it because we've confused play for exuberance and excitement. That's not play. So when you think play now, you're thinking, should I be jumping? Should I be rolling on the floor? No. What play really means is when you do an activity without trying to be strategic in doing it. Do you understand? When you express without strategy, that's play. Expressing without strategy, without a plan, without a rigid outcome in mind. So you can, it has nothing to do with playing with sand or playing with toys. It just means that I'm doing this thing and I'm enjoying the process of doing it. I don't know where it will lead to, but what I know is that I'm enjoying it right now. You see, some of you are studying courses in university, but you're not enjoying it because every time you are doing it, you are looking at your grades. And because you are looking at your grades, you are thinking of how that will affect your your CGPA. And when you think of your GP, what you now start thinking is how that will hinder you from getting a job in a place in future. And when you think of that, you think that will affect what you would earn in future, and that will affect your social status. You can see how you stop enjoying a course that you're doing. You see, play is doing it and forgetting about the marks, forgetting about how it accumulates to your CGPA. That is play. You see, I went to Obafemi Awolowo University, and it was one of the most frustrating periods of my life as a person. I always say it was one of the most frustrating. I think I've never been more sad in my life than I was in my 4 years in Obafemi Awolowo University. That's the truth. And that's because of how the environment then was structured by our lecturers. So everything was so rigid. When you went to class, they were talking about your GP. When you went to fellowship, they were talking about your GPA. When you went to the room, your roommates were talking about their GPA. So everyone was strategic with trying to raise this three alphabet word, your GPA, your CGPA, your four alphabet word. So we're always concerned about those numbers, 4.0 GP, 2.5 GP, and then I never enjoyed school because everything was either adding to my GPA or breaking to it. Every relationship was about, is this person going to help me succeed, or are they going to make me fail? And people are more than a strategy. You understand? And the first time I ever enjoyed school in my life was when I went to Canada to study. When I went to Canada to study, the environment, the lecturers were so positioned that they distracted us from our grades, and they made us focus on the work and doing the work and understanding the work. And that was the first time I wasn't even thinking of what my GPA was. I never even thought of it. It was after we had finished, that we were graduating, that I actually saw my grades and my GPA for the first time, and I realized I was one of the highest in the class. I became the highest in the class by not trying. I became the highest in the class by playing. You understand? So a lot of you, when you begin to play, you begin to give up you begin to give up your very essence, or give out your essence. And that's very important. But it will only come through play. When you are too serious, you begin to lose yourself. And so play is very important. We've not learned to play. And when we throw money in the mix, money kills the sense of play. Money, that payment, it kills the sense of play. And that's why I meet people and they have brilliant ideas and tell me I had this idea. Now, that's a great idea. And the next thing they say is, my problem is I don't know how I'm going to turn it into money. And immediately they make that statement, I realize that that idea begins to die. It just begins to go all downhill from there. So a lot of people, we've been corrupted by that over prioritization of money, because we start thinking, okay, I know how to dance. How can that make me money? I know how to sing. How can I get on um, Nigerian Idol and win 30 million naira? I know how to crack jokes. How can I go on this? So the next thing is, you find a little bit of yourself, and immediately you're thinking of how to monetize it, and then you begin to kill that self. You understand? Play is very important, and you must learn to play. You must learn to play to discover more of yourself. The more you play, the more you discover. So take more invitations that have nothing to do with money. Take more opportunities that have nothing to do with money. Offer yourself to work just for the fact that you think you're going to enjoy that activity. You understand? There is more treasure in things that we shun, that don't have a price tag to them, than the things that offer to pay us at the end of the day. You would find yourself in those activities of play that in those activities of payment. You must think of that. You would find yourself in the activities of play than you would in the activities of payment. So one of the biggest mistakes we make is we over prioritize payments. The second biggest mistake we make that stops us from finding ourselves is that we over prioritize people. We over prioritize people in our lives. And that might sound like that might sound a little bit callous to say that, wow, well, people are important. And that's true. I agree with you, people are important, but they are not as important as we make them seem. So there's a category of people that are responsible for most of us not knowing who we are today. And that category of people are the people that we call parents and family. In fact, parents, I'll just deal with, I'll not expand to family. Parents. A lot of parents are the misfortune of their children. A lot of parents are the misfortune. But if you see any of you that is confused right now about where your life is going, what you do in your life, if you track back long enough, you'll be able to hinge it either to your mom or your dad or both of them combined. And I'm a parent, and it's one of my biggest fears to be too intrusive on my child's life, that they now do not know who they truly are. You see, parents are incredible, but the parent-child dynamics is something we must watch out for, especially here in Africa. And not just here in Africa, it even has a it has a hierarchy. Even in Nigeria, it has a hierarchy. You see, one thing I realize is some people are very slow to grow up and they don't trust their decisions. And so they must always go to their parents to ask, oh, should I be doing this thing? If their parents don't have a word, they don't know what to do. And I realized that, and this might be me just talking from my own experience, so it gets worse as you go further down south in Nigeria. In my opinion, that's how it is. I realized that when you go up north, people are freer in terms of making some particular decisions or responsibilities than they are down south. And this is what I mean. Yesterday, I was out. I went outside my house, and where I live, there are a lot of northerners here. And I saw this girl, a 4-year-old girl. She looked nothing more than four, maybe four, or at worst 5. She was carrying a maybe an 8-month-old baby. An 8-month-old baby. She was carrying this girl, and she was carrying the girl on a stretch of road, and there was nobody with her, no adult. And somebody was saying, and obviously they were sisters because they look alike. And they're saying, where is she carrying her? She's carrying her home because she wanted to sleep. And that infant was sleeping in the hands of this 4-year-old sister. Was sleeping. She was rocking her to sleep, and she carried her. Even though she was a bit heavy for her, but she carried her. That will hardly ever happen down south. Hardly. Yeah, then down south, even if you are 17, someone must watch you as you are carrying the child. So we are not taught to be responsible. You see, and that's where you realize that the influence of parents is very, very tight. The more you go down in Nigeria, that influence is very tight. And that's why you have a lot of people in you see, I take a lot of question and answer. I have a Telegram group for questions and answers. And I have a lot of people tell me, I want to study this, but my daddy wants me to do this. I wanted to do this, but my mommy thinks it will be better if I do this. So the parents are the ones that call the shots in your life, even at the age of 20 something. You understand? You don't be surprised at the age of 50 something, some parents are still calling shots in people's lives. So you see, you will never get clarity if you never break free from this relationship called parenting, or it doesn't transform. You don't have to break free from it, but you have to transform it. So one thing must understand about the parent-child relationship is that it's not one that is consistent in the way in its operation, and that's the mistake we make. We believe that honoring your parents means always doing what they say. That's not true. That's not true. You see, you must understand that a time would come, the dynamics of parenting will change. So a time will come when your parents will be wiser than you. And when your parents are wiser than you must allow them to guide you. And that happens in your early years. If you have a functional brain, your parents will be wiser than you between the ages of 0 and maybe 19 or 20. They'll be wiser than you. You understand? And then the dynamics now has to change to a place whereby your parents' wisdom and your wisdom will begin to reach some kind of equilibrium. Do you understand? Whereby your parents will do less of guiding you and more of reasoning with you. Very important. And this is the stage we never enter to in Nigeria and in Africa. Our parents guide us for the rest of our life. And by doing that, they throw us off. You get to a stage in that relationship with your parents where you have accumulated wisdom too, and they've accumulated wisdom. You have new wisdom, they have old wisdom. And then you guys begin to reason. So they just don't make decisions and impose them. They ask your opinion, and then you tell them your opinion, and then you ask their opinion, and then they tell you their opinion, and then you reach a middle ground. You understand? And that happens between the ages of 20, 30. That can happen. But by the time you reach 40, most times your parents would have almost started reaching that 70-year age. At that point in time, now I say life begins at 40. You get to a point whereby you have more wisdom than your parents. And that doesn't mean your parents are foolish. It just means that after 40 years, the world has changed. And your parents' knowledge, a lot of it has become outdated. So if they guide you, a lot of times they are guiding you with outdated knowledge. And that's where we need to be careful. That's why you have people make seriously bad decisions because they are too taking outdated knowledge because they must honor these parents. You understand? So 40 years is a time when you begin to say, Mommy, Daddy, I don't agree with you. And this is how I think we need to start doing this thing. At that point, you need to start guiding them. It's no longer a reasoning, it's now you guiding them. But you see, we never enter into that. And that's why you see a 40-year-old person make a terrible decision, whether with their job or their marriage. And they say, yeah, my mother told me that you should leave this house. At 40 years old, that should have changed. You understand? We need to now get to that stage where we start guiding them. Remember, they were guiding us when we were zero to 20. You must now guide them. That is how you can honor them at that age. Because what they have a lot of times is outdated knowledge that doesn't apply anymore. So you see, what you see a lot of times right now, especially with the world, the way the world is changing. In fact, the way the world is changing right now is scary. That you realize that your parents begin to have outdated knowledge by the time you're in your 30s. By the time you're in your 30s, they begin to have outdated knowledge. So it's not even 40 anymore. By the time they're in your 30s, you need to start guiding them. And what does that mean? You see, before now, our parents used to think if you didn't wear a tie and a shirt to go to work, you don't have a good job. So they say, no, 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 no. This working in your room, you can't be doing that. No, 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 no. You can't be doing that. You must have a job where you're going and they don't understand the concept of remote jobs. You see, if you listen to that wisdom, you will lose out in the world. You will lose out in the world. But they can't understand that there's something called remote job. What they understand as a job is get out, come back in the evening. They don't understand that you can work 3 times a week now, or work from your room, or work on your phone. You understand? You must guide them that that's what the world is going right now. You must guide them for that. But if you don't guide them, they will mislead you. And so that's how we miss out on our identity. So somebody that is meant to be an entrepreneur, working from their house, confidently working from their house, feels insecure because an outdated parent is telling him or her that they are lazy and underachieving because they are working from their room. And that person begins to believe, man, I'm on the wrong path. So let me just leave this fashion design I'm doing in my room because my parents don't think it makes sense. So let me go and work in a bank. And you now go and do an outdated job. You understand? That's how parents can make you lose your identity because their own yardstick of success is different from what it is to you. So we must always be careful of people's opinion. Parents, teachers, peers, people you are in a relationship with, boyfriend, girlfriend. You must be careful. Those are people that really affect your life and can steal your identity. In the long run, they can. They have a lot of influence if you listen to them too much without listening to what's on your inside. And talking about what's on your inside, that leads me to the third thing. Remember, the first thing I said is over prioritization of payments. The second thing is over prioritization of people, especially parents. The third thing, and the final thing I'll talk about before we can start talking about taking questions, is an under prioritization of prayer. An under prioritization of prayer. And that's a Western mentality. And that's why people in the West make a lot of progress. And when I say West, I mean Western world, the Europe, the Americas, and stuff like that. You realize that the society is advancing, but the people are getting more and more sad. Depression is is palpable in that air. If you go abroad, my sister traveled some weeks ago, no, some months ago, and she said while she was in the hotel in the US, she said one thing that amazed her was how many adverts she saw on TV that was advertising prescription drugs for depression. Said there were too many adverts for depression in the US. So just watch something. After a few minutes, they would advertise this thing, a drug for depression. And people in the US, in the Western world, not just US, so in Canada, in UK, in Australia, all these places, those people take more than one of these drugs per day. And they start taking it from when they are like 7 years old. A 7-year-old already has symptoms of depression in the Western world. In the Western world, that's how it is. Where here, 7-year-olds are still, they're still playing happily. They don't know what depression is. A 7-year-old has depression. A 10-year-old is already thinking of taking their lives. They know what it is to commit suicide and to orchestrate it. How did the West get to this place? I'll tell you, is this last thing an under prioritization of this concept called prayer? They pushed prayer out of their society, and we are trying to do it today. So, I speak a lot, whether in virtual events like this or physical events. And a lot of times you see when you start talking about God, some people just start to, no, it's not that kind. I went to a church once. I went to a church, and I was speaking, and I said, I feel we need to connect with God. And after talking with, and that the MC actually said, you know what, let's tone down this our God in a church. This was a church. You understand? Say, let's tone down this God that we're saying God too much. And that's the Western mistake. Do you understand? And that is why they are dying in their throes from depression, from suicide, from anxiety. Even though the society is good, the people are rotting on the inside. You see, and that's happening to us in Nigeria today. That's why you would hear so many stories. Girl was in a taxi, stole the taxi to park, and then she got off and jumped off a bridge. Girl, university student, final year student, took her life in a room. Boy, holiday from school, came home, hanged himself in the room. Why? Because you know what? This identity crisis, we've separated it from God. So we feel we can find our identity outside of God. And I will always say it is impossible. And that's why I will never go to a place and not talk about God. Because I realize that if I'm doing that, then I'm underselling and I'm being evasive. And then people will try what I'm doing and it won't work for them because I'm not told them the truth. The truth is that spirituality is very important in our lives. You can never find your true identity outside of your creator. Not the people that gave birth to you. They didn't create you. Somebody created you. The people that gave birth to you, kind of passed some genes and stuff and to you. But then the person that made the invisible part of you, your soul, is more important. And that's the person you must connect to. You see, our relationship with God is like a manual for a gadget. And a lot of us use gadgets in this particular way where we do not read the manual. We just get right into the gadget. So you just have a phone, you just start using it and leave the manual. You understand? So phones, they stop spending money on manuals. Have you realized that in like early 2000, they will give one bulky manual, but now just one leaflet they will give you. They will give, because you guys don't read the manual, so just get into it and just experiment. It makes them more money when you spoil the phone and you come and buy a new one. You see, that manual is so important. That manual is so important, and that's what your relationship with God is. If you do not connect with God, you cannot overcome that temptation to prioritize money and that temptation to prioritize your parents' validation. You cannot. You can never have that internal strength to do it. You see, your ability to connect with God in prayer, and I'll tell you what prayer is. A lot of us have a misconception of what prayer is, and I'll try to explain to you what I think prayer is very important. That connection with God in prayer is absolutely important, and it's something we must all thrive towards. You see, we try to operate with God like it's like a blue, it's like using Bluetooth. So if you're using Bluetooth headphones or Bluetooth on your phone, you see, the farther you go, the more the connection will be breaking. And then after a while, the connection will break altogether. Maybe after 20 meters or how many meters, I don't know how many meters it is now, but there's a meter. You understand? So it's not that the Bluetooth is bad. It's just you've gone too far from the source. So you won't hear anything again. So if you're using Bluetooth headphones and you're listening to music and you just decided to go away from your house and to move away from your phone, at a point, what will happen to the music? Music will begin to break, break. Then after a while, you won't hear the music again. Does it mean the music is not playing? No, the music is still playing, but you are too far from the source. The same thing with this identity thing. A lot of people are trying to find identity without developing a relationship with God. I said they are going farther and farther, and they're realizing, man, I'm so confused. I don't know. I don't know what I should be doing. I don't know what my purpose is, because that internet is breaking. That music is breaking. And then they get to a place, the guy won't hear anything. They don't know what's going on again, because they are too far from the source. You must be able to move back to the source. We cannot take God out of the conversation and expect to get clarity. If you don't have a relationship with God, you will inevitably have a relationship with confusion. If you don't have a relationship with God, a relationship with confusion is inevitable. So when people tell me, see, there's some people that they're always confused. And when they're confused, I realize that this person, their spiritual connection is very weak. Some of them are incredibly intelligent people. Incredibly intelligent. But intelligence is not spirituality. You understand? You can be intelligent and be confused. That's why you see intelligent people make intelligently stupid mistakes. You understand? You just say, but this guy is a professor now. Didn't he know any better? No. It's not about that. It's the spirituality that is weak. So I want to beg you to connect with God in prayer. And this way I'm going to talk about prayer. You see, a lot of what you call prayer is blabbing. So we talk to God, I want this, I want this, I want car, I want house, I want clothes, I want shoe, I want car, I want phone, I want wife, I want husband, I want this. Is always what you want. You turn God to one vending machine or an ATM machine. You see, that is a part of prayer, but it's a very minuscule part of prayer, because God already knows what you want. What you don't know is what God wants. God knows everything you want. What you must key into is what God wants from you. So when we spend time thinking, I want, and when we are done with our list, amen, you've not prayed. You've not truly explored that thing called prayer. Prayer in itself is a lot of silence. You see, prayer is silent. The majority of prayer is silent. You see, when we start to use this resource called silence, no matter who you are and no matter where you are, if you can be silent, you will think great things. And I'll repeat that. I don't care how intelligent you are or wherever you are. I don't care if you are in a village or you are in a city. I don't care if you are a man or a woman. I don't care if you're an adult or an elderly or a youngster. Look, if you can be silent, you will think great things. Now, the issue might be you might think great bad things that happens depending on what your influences have been. You get some inspiration and you use it in a viceful way. But then, if you have had good inspiration around you and you can top it up with silence, with moments of silence in your life, you will think great virtuous things that you never thought your mind could conceive. But silence, unfortunately, in today's world, is the scarcest resource. Because of this thing I'm talking to called a mobile phone, silence has become incredibly scarce. So people, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, WhatsApp, there's something making noise in your mind every single time. That's why you're not having clarity. You see, those things are stopping you from praying and from having that relationship with God. So you must learn to silence your life. Silence. And it doesn't need to be 1 hour of silence. You can start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It doesn't need to be an elaborate amount of time. It can be 5 minutes in your bathroom. Lock yourself in the bathroom. It can be 10 minutes taking a walk. Do you understand? Silence is very important. Schedule silence into your day every single day. I struggle with it. And that's why I realize when I do that, my thoughts are not clear. But if I can just take time to be silent, something just drops in my mind. And I'm like, I never thought of it this way. You see, silence is the door to prayer. Do you understand? That's where you hear God from. So if whatever it is you are doing, whether it's in your prayer time and you are not silent, then you're not exploring that prayer well enough. You understand? You need to allow God to speak to you. I once lived with a woman. Um, you know, and it was a family, so it wasn't like I lived with the woman on her own, but it was a family. And the woman used to drive me to work. So we were working in the same place. And the workplace was about 45 minutes from the house and 45 minutes back to the house. And she would talk for 45 minutes straight. No, non, and I'm not joking, non-stop from the moment we enter the car till we get to where we are going. And she wouldn't keep quiet. And she wouldn't ask for feedback or ask me to just talk and keep talking. And by the time I get to work, I need to take like 15 minutes to get my mind right again. Because my mind just feels like if it has been inundated. But then you see what? She never understood me because she never asked me. But there was a different man that she used to take me to work every time she was not going to take me to work. And every time this man, sometimes when we're driving, would just be silent and won't say anything. And I used to enjoy that ride. And sometimes he would ask me questions, ask me what's on my mind, and I found myself talking to him. And at the end of the day, he understood me more than the woman I was actually living with. Until today, when I have conversations with them, I connect more with that man than I connect with the woman. So you see, the truth of the matter is, if you want to connect with God, then you must keep quiet and let God talk so that you can understand him too. In that is true prayer. And in that true prayer, God will tell you who you are. He will interpret that manual of who you are to you. And then your true identity will begin to come out. And then you begin to know who you are. And then you have confidence to do things without payment and to do things without people's validation. And that's where you will really find happiness. Happiness is the freedom to be who you are without caring about what you are getting and who is praising you. Happiness is that freedom to be who you are without caring about what you are getting and who is praising you. How many of you can say you are doing that with your life right now? How many of you can say you are who you are and you do that thing that you desire and you don't care about how many likes, how many people are doing it, how many people, and you don't care about whether you are ever paid for it or validated for it? How many of us? And that tells us that a lot of us are not truly happy. So at the end of the day, that's what I want us to discuss. I don't want to go too far with this, but then that for me, I want to be the foundation of whatever it is we ask as questions right now. I don't know how many minutes I've used here, but quite a number of minutes. But yeah, basically.
Yeah, like I would say, like I've been checking the community group while you were speaking, and the nuggets are just so much. I've learned quite a lot. Like I believe that everybody here is getting value. If you are getting value, please react. Let me see those fire. Let me see those emojis. Let's yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. We have a lot of people asking questions. We have some set of questions in the webinar documents where people ask questions on clarity, basically. And I think some of the few things I got from your talk is actually the importance of suffering. You mentioned that. I think I was watching the video and I saw the CEO of NVIDIA, and he was talking about suffering, why suffering is very much needed in someone's life. And he also talked about the aspect of noise. We are too exposed to noise. Like everybody's pressing their phone, going on the IG. How would you find yourself when you are all about other people's life, all about the video, all about this stuff? But you don't take. Then you also talk about the aspect of silence. Like I feel like these things are actually speaking so much to me. And yeah, okay, airports drop the meaning. Everyone start. Okay, yeah, yeah. I can see the responses. So I will just go straight to the questions without taking much time. But before that, I was speaking with a friend like few days ago, and he was saying something around was asking this question, and I would like to ask it again. He was saying, said Daniel, I have so many skills. I have so many skills. I can do graphic design. I can do web development. I can do what did he mention again? He said he can do mobile development, but he's really so confused on which particular skill should he focus on, which one should he sell, should he identify with, because there's the aspect where he's also on LinkedIn. When he's on LinkedIn, he's trying to put himself as a website developer. Then he's also thinking, should I put mobile developer, should I put project manager? He's just so confused about these things. How can this kind of person how can he identify himself, or how can he find himself as like or should he focus on being that many things or being that one thing? Like, what would you advise him to do, sir?
Right, that's a good question. And this will talk about being multi-talented, which a lot of us are. A lot of us are multi-talented. But just that some talents are more than the other, and some come to the fore. But you see, the confusion people have is what the same thing that your friend has is which one do I sell? You see, first thing your friend has to know is first and foremost, he's not a web designer or a programmer or a graphic designer. He's first and foremost a human being. There's a hierarchy to things. A lot of times we feel we are those things we do. No, you are who you are. So, first and foremost, you are a human being. And a human being is an encumberment of a lot of things. Do you understand? And so we feel like we see ourselves as tools a lot of times. So, and we try to sell ourselves as tools, which is a shortcoming. So, we are thinking, I'm a hammer. I'm a hammer. What I do is that I knock things. But you're not a tool. A hammer is a tool. So because you're trying to sell yourself as a tool, you feel there should be one thing you are doing. No, that's not true. I used to have that mentality too before. And so when I see myself expressing in one thing, I'm like, oh, I don't want this thing to distract me from this thing I'm doing. I don't want to confuse people. But that's because the way the world has been positioned, it has been positioned in such a way whereby it's not expressive anymore. It has become more strategic. So you see, when it's talking about LinkedIn, it's like, what should I do on LinkedIn? Should I talk about this or should I talk about that? And the fear is having is let me not go and confuse the person that is coming to work with me as a web designer. You understand? Let that person see web design today because we are scared of how money would come. See that money thing can be a distraction because we are always trying to sell because we are so insecure about our survival. So you see, he's a human being. Number one, and a human being can do a lot of things. It's just like how you heard this thing about a group of blind people that were told to touch an elephant, and someone said he touched the stomach, said the elephant was round. Another person touched the tail, said the elephant was skinny like a snake. Another person touched the ears, said the elephant was flat like something, you know. Another person touched the trunk, he said the elephant is like a python because very, very, you see. But was any of them wrong? No. But the elephant is all those things and more. The elephant is not skinny, is not round, is not flat. It's all those things. And that's what your friend is. He must feel free to be himself. If what is inspiring him today is web design, put out web design. If that thing and that's why you must be connected with God. You see, if you're not connected with God, you will depend on your brain, and your brain is strategic. And strategy is not how you get to success. It's spirituality that takes you to success. You see, there are some things God is going to tell you through your spirit. He's going to tell you through your spirit and tell you, today, do a web design project. On that very day, somebody needs a web designer. On that very day. Do you understand? You see, I tell people this thing. I'm finding out different things about me. And for a long time, I've been trying to be one thing. And I've been insecure about showing other people different. I'm like, man, I'm this logo guy. I should be doing logos. But then when I started speaking, I started thinking, man, I'm not going to confuse people by speaking. I'm like, no, but that's who I am. You understand? It's part of who I am. As you grow older, you realize that there's so much to you. There's so much more to you. And you must not feel a need. Some things are for minimal use. Some things are for maximum use. So for me, I know how to draw. I can draw. But you don't see my drawings out there because I'm led and inspired to draw for my children. So when I draw, I show my children. There was a couple of drawings I did. No, nobody ever saw it. I never put on social media, but it made my children happy. For me, that was fulfillment. There are some things I draw for myself. And when I draw it for myself, I don't show anybody. But in drawing that thing, it helps me to relax. That is the essence of that drawing. That's the fulfillment for it. That I can draw it and it makes me relax. And I can squeeze that paper and throw it away afterwards. But a lot of people feel it is not fulfilling till the world sees it. It is not fulfilling till the world claps for you. It is not fulfilling till the world pays a huge amount for it. That is not true. That is strategy. It is fulfilling when it does that small thing that it should do. And that small thing might just be helping you to sleep at night, helping your brother to feel happy. You understand? Those small things. So we always feel everything must be grand. So your friend, even if he's doing web design, he might not be doing web design to sell web design. He might not be doing web design to make himself happy when he's bored. Do you understand? It doesn't need to be a career. The problem is we become so career minded. So we become less human beings. We become tools. Because what a career needs is a tool, someone to function in a capacity. But what life needs is human beings, people to express in different capacities. So you are a human being first, and you must respect that. Don't try to monetize and build a business around everything. We do that too much. I know how to sew. I need to go and start training people. No, no, no. It might just be sewing clothes that have that need mending in your house for your mother, for your brother, for your roommates. That's it. It doesn't need to be a business. I know how to sing. I must record an album. That is not true. Sometimes your singing is to make your own bathing, your showering experience pleasurable to you. Do you understand? So you don't need to do it for the gram, or do it for the internet, or do it for money. No. Sometimes these things are small, and that is how they have to be. Small. And the impact might be small but fulfilling. You understand? So I feel your friend should be free to be who he is. And what he feels he does a lot, that he feels led to put it out. But not everything is for show. And that's the mistake we have in today's world. We do everything for show. So I know how to do this thing. They must see it on Instagram. No, they don't have to see it. It's not just enough for you to know that you know how to do this. I don't sell it. Let people even see a part of you one day and say, I never knew you could do this thing. And yeah, I know how to do this thing. Oh, yeah. You understand? It's okay. We don't have to be marketing every time. We try too hard to get into people's pockets. And it's not necessary. Just be yourself, be a human being. And you see that in the long run, people will begin to look for you rather than you beginning to look for money. You understand? That's what happens that eventually.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. That was really, really, in fact, you answered the question just so right. So I'm going to pick another question from here. It's saying the person asked the question, he said, how do you know that you found the right identity of yourself or for yourself? That's the question. How do you know that you found the right identity of yourself or for yourself?
Now that's a good question. And this is where I say identity minus God is impossible. You understand? Because the confirmation of anything being right in life is peace. It's not praise, it's not payment, it is peace. And how many of you truly know what peace means? You understand? So what we see as peace is tranquility. No, tranquility is not peace. Because you can have peace in the midst of war. You understand? You can have peace in a war zone. So peace is not tranquility. Peace is a feeling of right standing. It's hard to explain, but you know how I don't know how many of you have ever played. Most of you might have played with what is called a jigsaw puzzle. A jigsaw puzzle, when it fits, it fits. Nothing else fits like it. That is peace. When it fits, just realize you hear it. When it even fits, just feels like it fits. Just like when you're charging, you know when you're using a phone and some people have chargers that their charging port doesn't fit into the charger air doesn't fit into their charging port. So you need to hold it and put it in a particular way. If you put that phone right side up, the charger will fall out. That is a lack of peace. Peace is when you take that charger and put it into your charging port. And you know that thing that you feel, that click that you feel, it's not loud though. Just feel it feels like it enters. You know that's exactly what peace is. It's a feeling of right standing, that it's right. And only God can allow you to know what that sounds like, what that feels like. Do you understand? That is just a click. Yeah, it's a click. That's exactly just a click. It's a click that only you hear. So how do you know you found your true self? It is just that click. I know when that thing clicks, what happens to you is that you begin to love everything about yourself. Before, you used to think your face had too many pimples. When that thing clicks, you begin to look at your face and you're like, oh man, these pimples are just in the right place. You were thinking, man, your stomach was too big. When that thing clicks, you're like, man, this stomach is actually cute. You see, have you ever met people that you look at them and you're like, why are they so confident? Me, I know I'm finer than this person. But the way this person carries themselves, they're like, they feel like the finest people in the world. Because for that person, something clicks. And have you ever seen somebody who is like the most beautiful person you've seen, but then they are always talking about something bad about themselves? My nose is too big, my head is too big, my fingers are too thick, my this is too that. There is no peace. That click is not there. It is that click. And only God can make you feel that click. That's why that spirituality is very important. It's that God that tells you, look, you are enough. Is that God that will tell you, Adamu, you are enough. Ene, you are enough. Asma, you are enough. It is that voice. It's that voice. Nobody needs to tell you on the inside. You just know that you are enough. You are enough doing that thing. Not about how much you are being paid. You are just, is that click that you feel. So I can't explain it more than that. But then the spiritual thing is a spiritual confirmation, not a physical one.
Wow, wow, that is so enlightening. That click, that thing, that when you hear that car, man, that's really touched me. So please, if you have questions, you can drop them in the chat box, or you can drop them in the community platform. I'm taking questions from both of these things. Then we have another question. It says, does environment play a major role in an individual's identity? Does environment play a major role in an individual's identity? If yes, how can an individual own this to influence their identity positively? He said, if yes, how can an individual own this to influence their identity positively? So yes, that's the question.
Yeah, that's a good question. An environment does play a role in your identity. Definitely does. I know I talked about I talked about Africa when I was talking about how some cultures, some religions can play a particular role in how you think, and how you live your life. And I talked about the Western culture too, and how that environment has played a role in exposing people to tendencies of depression, the tendency to suffer from depression. Yes, it's very possible. But then there are also virtues that you can get by being in a particular environment. And this is where, um, uh, we as Africans, we have not we have not begun to tap into our identity as Africans, and when we started to own it. And when we begin to own it, we will realize that there's more to gain in being this thing called African than there is to lose. You see, and this is where we must trust who placed us here. There are some things we didn't choose in our life. Number one, we didn't choose our parents, and we didn't choose where we were born. We had no choice in it. And so, for those things that happen to us, they happen to us in infinite wisdom. And what that means is that they happen to us for a reason, and they happen to us for a good reason. So if you were born in an environment, and that's why it's a very serious question when you have to leave your environment you were born in. It's a very serious decision. So this Japa thing that we are doing, it's a very serious decision, because when you were put in a place, you were put there by infinite wisdom. A lot of times when we leave a place, we leave by limited wisdom. So when you're put in a place, you had no choice. Did any of you choose to be born? If you, all those that were born in Nigeria, did you choose to be born in Nigeria? Did you fill a form that you wanted to come to Nigeria? Did you fill a form that you wanted to be born in the state you were born in? Did you fill a form that you wanted to be born in the city or the village you were born in? It was chosen for you. That was chosen in infinite wisdom, because you do not know why. That's why it's infinite. It's too deep for you. But a lot of times when we travel to London or travel to America, we do it with our mind. That's why it's very risky, because you begin to think and look, that place seems better, but you don't know for sure. And that's why before you go, that spirituality is so important. You must ask the person that placed you in infinite wisdom where you are if you should leave to where you should be going to. Because that place that you are placed, that environment that you are placed, was placed for you to be blessed. You understand? It's a blessing for you to be in that environment. And so if you leave without taking your blessing, you are making a big mistake. So how do you harness environment to help you with your identity? It still comes down to that internal connection with God and asking God, what am I here for? What am I here for? Many years ago, I think like 2005, I left Nigeria and I traveled to Canada. And when I went to Canada, I went to learn graphic design. And what happened? When I graduated from school, I got a job. It was a very good job. When people in my class did not have jobs, I had a job. And they were paying me well. But I was in that job, I didn't hear that click. That click that I told you about, that click, I wasn't hearing that click. There was no click. And I didn't feel peace. I was troubled. I was sad. But then here I was in a country where there's lights, where there's fast internet, good roads, good food in quotes, and I was unhappy. I was unhappy in this country where everything was given to me because it wasn't clicking. And then within me, I had an internal validation or leading from God to come back to Nigeria. Nigeria was unstable politically, economically, socially. It was unstable. People didn't understand why I was coming back to Nigeria. My parents did not want me to come back to Nigeria. Everybody said, what are you coming back to do? What do you want to come and do in Nigeria? But immediately I came back to Nigeria, immediately I stepped down in Nigeria, bam, I heard that click. I heard that click. That charger and my charging port joined together. There was a click. Immediately I came back, I knew there was something I was meant to do in this country. You see, I knew that this environment was meant for me. It was very hard because when I came back, I couldn't work easily because they would take light for days. I wouldn't have light, stuff like that. It was very, very, very challenging. But every time I faced a challenge, I grew wiser. I grew wiser. I started thinking thoughts that never came to me from the comfort of Canada, but started to come to me from the hardship of Nigeria. And that's where your environment can help you. When you realize that the challenges in your environment are not to kill you, but to form you. A lot of times we run away from challenges that are meant to form us into what we are meant to be. The reason I'm able to talk to you right now, I have nothing written down. I don't write down when I talk to people. I don't particularly plan. It's because I've learned from challenges. I've had challenges in everything I've told you about. And because of that, I'm able to be passionate and empathetic and relate with you. So when I talk from a place of empathy. It is the environment that has helped me. So, for environment to change you, you always think that there has to be good things in the environment. No, sometimes it is just hard things. It's just ASU strike. That ASU going on strike for 8 months is meant to make you a better person. But a lot of times you run away. You go to Brazil, you go to Philippines, you go to Malaysia. When God is saying, I'm not done with you, that ASU strike is meant to make you better. Some of the best things happened to me from delay. I got into design because my name was skipped from NYSC list. I didn't go for NYSC with my peers. They missed my name. At first, I was sad, but then I started to look for what to do with my life. And that is how I was able to get into graphic design. And that what led me to where I am today. So your environment is a gift. If you can learn to read the manual, but the manual can only be understood once again if you are connected to the source. You understand? If that Bluetooth link between you and the source is still active, then you will know what you're meant to get from your environment and what you're meant to abandon.
Wow, wow, wow. That is so much value that is just so packed in all that you've said. Like I as you were speaking, I was just looking back. I was looking back. I would also say that the most defining moment for me was when Hassel went on strike. was when we had Corona, that Corona lockdown. Those were like the most defining moment for me. That was like when I was able to even at least have a little bit of direction. And yeah, I really, I was just thinking back on what all the things you've been saying, and I can just, I can just testify to that. That's really, really sure. So, yeah, somebody asked this question from the community. It says, at what point am I supposed to know when I need a strategy for my life and when I do not? That question, let me ask it again. At what point am I supposed to know when I need a strategy for my life and when I do not need a strategy for my life? Yeah, that's the question, sir.
All right. That's a good question. And the answer I'm going to give you will be controversial. And some of you might agree, some of you might not agree. But that's how I see it. And I stand to be corrected. The biggest problem is this mentality of strategy for my life. We have become so strategic. Strategy is not bad, but strategy is not the ultimate. I'll say it again. Strategy is not bad, but strategy is not the ultimate destination. Um, and I will say, try to grow above strategy and try to grow into spirituality. And I need you to listen carefully to me right now. Stop having a strategy for your life. Stop having a strategy for your life. It's only putting you under more pressure, and it's only making you or allowing you to have more propensity for discouragement and disappointment. What a strategy means is working towards a rigid outcome. That's a problem. It's a big problem. And that's why I see people who are making progress, but they can't see their progress because their progress doesn't look like what they planned for. I see a lot of people making progress, but they think they are failing because their progress that they are making doesn't look like what they planned for. So a lot of people cancel something that is doing well because it doesn't look like what they imagined when they started out. That's a big problem. And it's not just a career problem, it's a relationship problem. That rigid outcome. Don't have a strategy for your life. Let your strategy be loose, not rigid, very loose. You're going to have strategy, let it be loose. And I'll give you what I mean by relationship wise. Some ladies, their problem is they're too strategic about the kind of man they want to marry. Some guys, their problem, they are too rigid about the kind of woman they want to marry. So she must be the guy must have a six-figure job, must be fair complexion, must be muscular, must have six pack, must be tall, must be this, and so they start looking for that person. So when the guy that has a four-figure salary is 5'2", he's dark, he doesn't have six pack comes, but he has a character that you need. You feel he's not the one because he doesn't feel that that cavity that you have created in your mind, that mold that you created in your mind. So you have missed out on the person that can take care of you because you never know. That person 2 years down the line might have eight-figure salary, and you're like, that guy came to approach me. Oh, he asked me to marry him, oh, but I missed out because we are too rigid. The same thing with us too as men. We do it. We are too rigid. The world has made us rigid. So we feel a particular complexion of woman is attractive. A particular shape is what we want. But it's not really what you want. It is what society has told you to want. So you become rigid to societal standards, not really your own soul standards. You understand? So what I'll tell you is stop having a strategy for your life. Live a surrendered life. And a surrendered life is a life that says, every single day I wake up, I'm going to ask God what He wants for me today. If I was living a strategic life, I would have been in Canada by now. I will be there and I would have given birth to my children there, because the strategy is Canada is better than Nigeria. If I stayed there, I would have sent for my parents. All of us will be living in Canada in one nice place, and I'll be taking nice photos. But nice photos is not what makes you, you know, does not make for nice psychology. You understand? You understand? It doesn't make for that. Some people, and the photo is nice, but psychologically they are a mess. You understand? So when you look at some of you go to WhatsApp and your friend in Canada, you can say, ah man, this guy has chopped up. See how nice his skin is. See how nice the photo is. See how nice the background is. See how nice the sky is. But what you can't see is his messed up psychological state. You understand? Photos don't show your messed up psychological state. You have to be careful where how rigid your strategy is. Your strategy should always be in pencil, but your surrendering should be carved in stone. That you surrender and say, okay, God, this is what I plan to do today. But above what I plan to do today, lead me to what you want me to do today. So you must be loose on your strategy. There are some days, there are some things I plan to do, but then it's interrupted by some other things. And when I do those other things, I now realize that wow, this thing that I did fulfilled me than what I planned to do when I woke up in the morning. You understand? So you need to be less strategic, more surrendered, and more spiritual at the end of the day. There's less pressure on your life by doing that.
Mm.
Less pressure.
Yeah, that is that. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Because when you were talking, I was also looking back because all these things are actually touching me directly. I was looking back at when when we grew up. When we grew up, we were like, I want to be a doctor. We had so much defined career paths. A lot of people say I want to be an astronaut, and right now they are doing fishery. Some people say they want to do this, and the most interesting thing is that it's what they are doing currently that they did not plan for is what is even giving them more fulfillment in life. And I would really so much agree with that because I never thought I would be what I am today, but here I am today. And yeah, I really so much agree with that. So let me go to the question. They said the question talks. So grateful. My question is for how long can we play and when can we get serious? For example, like eating some milestones such as marriage, family, jobs, and many more. So he asked this one earlier. I didn't see that. That was when you were talking about play and all that. But I would like to bring that back. I hope, yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, and I think that also has to do with the question that I just answered. How long should you play? That in itself is defeating the essence of play. How long should you play is an oxymoron. And what that means is that there is something contradicting what you are saying. When you begin to time play, it is no longer play. So there was a place I went to in Abuja, and I took my children there. It was like an amusement park. So as they were playing, they were timing them, and they said, 30 minutes time, they will go and call them. And after 10, they call them, well, all of you come out, come out, come out. And if you want to go back again, you pay for another 30 minutes. And in the end, what happened was when the children realized it took 30 minutes for them to play, what happened was they started rushing from one toy to another. And then what got that foster was now a spirit of fighting. Because when somebody is on a toy, you're like, no, get up, stand up. Then it stops being play, it becomes commotion. You understand? How long should you play? You play as long as you are alive. You see, we still confuse play for exuberance. It is not that. Play is when you are doing things without really being strategic. You are doing it because in the now you are enjoying it. That's how much you can say. You are discovering. You understand? And discovery in itself cannot be timed. You can't time discovery. If you went out to dig for gold, how do you know how far you will go before you get gold? You just keep digging. It might take 1 hour. It might take 2 hours. It might take 2 days. It might take 2 months. But you keep digging. You understand? So there is no, when you start timing play, you defeat play. There is this thing, this thing, a video that someone sent on WhatsApp some time back about two men. They are both digging for diamonds, and one of them digged and got diamond very fast, and the other one, all he needed to do was dig one more time, and he got a bigger diamond. And what he did, he gave up. He was tired. He said, "Oh, okay, so you have gotten diamond, no diamond for me again." All he needed to do was dig one more time. That's the problem. When you begin to time it and start saying, I don't have time anymore, you begin to make bad decisions. Even with marriage, those of us that give ourselves age for marriage is a problem. I must get married before I'm 35. Those are the people that go and get married to the husband that starts beating them, or wife that starts tormenting them. Why are you giving yourself time? Live life. As you're living life, you will meet your husband, you will meet your wife, you will meet that person that is meant for you. But it's that strategy, that rugged outcome that we have, that it must happen at a particular time, in a particular way, at a particular place. You understand? That's the problem we have. So play as much as possible. Remember, play is not doing it with a rugged outcome in your mind. Keep discovering. Keep discovering. I'm still playing, and I'm 40. I was on my podcast. For those of you that listen to my podcast, I don't know if you know, I have a podcast on Spotify called Co-op Masterclass with Tola Alabi. If you just check for Tola Alabi on Spotify, you will find my podcast. But on my podcast, I talked about an experience I had with AI. My wife introduced me to AI, and I started using it as play. Play, just play. I was just prompting and making different creatures, animals, strange creatures, cartoons. I was just playing. And as I was playing, I was sharing my play on my WhatsApp status. I was not sharing it, not because I thought it would bring anything, but because I thought it was beautiful. I wanted to share it. It was on sharing it that one person saw it and gave me the biggest job I've ever had this year. The biggest job. Just from that place. That person said, this thing you're doing. I used to do it for our office. So, and that person commissioned me to do a job that's the biggest job I've been paid for so far this year. It came from play. If I were strategic, I will never use AI and play with it. And that person will never see it and connect with it in the way that they did. So play, there's no limit to play. Play is what you were created to do. So when we say play, it's an endless stage of self-discovery and self-expression. That's what it is. So you must always express. Never ever stop and think, I want to stop and get serious right now. What you need to do is play seriously.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm just this just so much value. The value is just the value is given. Let's give that Gen Z vibe. The value is given. Yeah. Yeah. This matter of playing. It's one thing that I really so much agree with because most times you enter into a room, everybody is just fixated on their phones. Everybody is just trying to form serious. See you form this. So nobody wants to be like I'm a street boy or like you're just trying to have fun, just get to know each other. But everybody's trying to say, oh, I'm the CEO, I don't want to lose my steez. I'm the managing director or so stuff. I don't want to lose my steez. Then there's no fun. And when there's no fun, there is no connection and all of those things. So I really so much agree with that. There's one person, the person also had asked earlier, and I feel like we need to also touch that before we wrap things up. He says, good evening, TA. How does one stay productive amidst a lot of anxieties? He said, I mean, there are days I just don't want to do anything. I just want to shut out of the world and just be me. But the nature of my job requires that I always edit one video here, design one flyer there, and it's a lot. I feel stuck. This has been my experience these past few days. So yeah, that's his question. He said even today, he's still, in fact, right now he's still feeling that experience. So how does one stay productive amidst a lot of anxieties, trying to catch up with this, catch up with that, and all of this? Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. How do you stay productive amidst anxiety? It's very hard. There are two things that that cancel each other out. Productivity needs creativity. Creativity needs freedom. Freedom needs peace. Anxiety works against all these things. You understand? So how do you stay productive amidst anxiety? Is that you must choose which one you want, anxiety or productivity. They cannot live together. Um, because if you have anxiety before you can be productive, what will happen is fatigue. You understand? You'll be fatigued. It's costing you too much to be productive, costing you way too much. It is almost like running, you know, a, a heavy graphic design app on a low spec laptop and it crashes. It's taking too much from it. So the laptop is not bad, but those two things are not compatible. So one thing you must do is you must question your job and why you are there in the first place. And that takes a lot of courage because a lot of us are in survival mode. And survival mode stops you from making good decisions. You see, that thing you said, and I like the person that asked that question because it's an honest question. Say, sometimes you don't feel like doing anything. And that's because sometimes you shouldn't be doing anything. What that person needs in their life is silence. But there are too many demands on his or her life. And that's the problem. And the person, what the person needs to do is shed some load. You might have to leave that job. I wrote one thing on my Twitter once. I said, to take hold of that joy, you must have the courage to let go of that job. To take hold of that joy, you must have the courage to let go of that job, which is what a lot of us don't have. The courage to let go of some things that are slowing us down in life. Because the mentality here is if I leave the job, how will I survive? How will I pay my bills? And I'll tell you why they're asking that question. They're asking that question because their Bluetooth is not close to that source anymore. So they're not hearing the information the Bluetooth is telling them. The Bluetooth is saying they're telling them, I will take care of you. You will be fine. But because they've moved too far, they're not praying. They're not praying. And you're not praying because your job is not allowing you to pray. There's too much anxiety. That's why you are now feeling like you need that anxiety to survive. You see, prayer is so important. And when you start to pray, you begin to have peace. That peace is so important. That voice in your head and your spirit, in your heart, that tells you, Arrow, you'll be okay. And then you'll be okay. That voice that tells you that is the voice that can allow you to be courageous and say, this job is taking too much of my life. I am quitting this job. Some of you need to quit your job to find your true identity. Some of you need to leave your friends to find your true identity. It's very important. Some of you need to move away from home to find your true identity. It's very important. So anxiety and productivity don't work together. And I can hear from what you're saying that your job is causing you anxiety. Why are you there? Why are you there? A lot of people think they have no option, but they do have an option. There's an option. The problem is your mind has been filled with too many negative outcomes that you don't think of the positive outcome anymore. So you already know the outcome of what will happen if you lose your job. If I lose my job, I wouldn't get paid. If I don't get paid, I wouldn't be able to afford my rent. If I can't afford my rent, I will get kicked out. If I get kicked out, I'll have to squat with my friend. If I squat with my friend, they will start taking me for granted. See, you have played it out in your mind, but the truth is you do not know. Those are negative dwellings that you have in your head. You need to begin to know that you do not know the outcome of things. You don't know the outcome of things. But what you know is what a particular thing is doing to you per time. And so what you do know right now is that your job is costing you your peace. You need to question that job because that job is not the only job in the world. You understand? and you're doing two wrongs by keeping that job that is taking your peace. Two wrongs. The first wrong is against yourself. You are denying yourself of peace and you are denying yourself of joy. The second wrong is a wrong against somebody else out there that is praying for that job you have, that will take that job and that job will make them immensely happy. You are occupying that space and you are denying that person of that job. You understand? So you are doing two wrongs, one against yourself and one against somebody that is out there. So you are denying your own prayers and you are denying somebody else's prayers. That's what you do when you hold on to a job that you're not happy with. Somebody else will take that job and be like, I love this job, but you are blocking them. You understand? So choose one of the two, anxiety or productivity. It's very hard, but only a person that is spiritual. Spirituality will make you know what you have to do to choose productivity over anxiety. Because work is interesting. Work is amazingly interesting. You see, a lot of us feel we have to endure work. Work should not be endured. Work is one of the best things that could happen to you as a human being. But the problem is you are doing the wrong work. And you are holding on to the wrong work because you are insecure about your future. And you are insecure about your future because you are detached from your source. So it all comes down to that source. Once you connect yourself, do it tonight. That person that asked this question, tonight, go back to God. And when I say go back to God, it always sounds like if God has left you. He never left you. He's waiting for you. What your prayer doesn't have to elaborate. Just talk to God and just tell God, God, I have anxiety and I have a problem with productivity and I don't feel gingered about work. Help me, help me, and go to bed and wake up tomorrow and see what happens. You understand? I dare you to do that. Dare you to do that. I dare you to do that consistently in your life and see whether courage will not come into your life.
Wow, 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 wow. That is so much. That is so much mind blowing. I would say like our time is actually fast spent. So yeah, I do rounding up. And before we call it off, um we actually are going to have like a what is it called? We are going to have a selfie, so everybody would have a time and they will put on their video cameras and we're going to count down 3, 2, 1. Then we shout to reinvent together, and we are going to do that very soon. So please stay on the call. So back to the matter. Yeah. So we really so much appreciate your time, sir. It has really been a profound moment. I recall the last time that we had this opportunity together. It was when I was a GDSM lead, and then you came to speak. And in fact, a lot of people were saying, why was your time so short? Why did we not have more than enough time? I said, oh no, 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 we have to bring TA back. And here you are again, and you've not failed us so far. And I would say I'm really so happy about this particular moment. And why a lot of people might be asking, why are we having this webinar series, and why are we even having this particular event, which is TEDx Samaru, which is happening on the 10th of August. It actually stems from the fact that we want to create a platform where people can come, people with ideas can come and share their ideas that are worth sharing. They can come and impact value. For me as a person, when I was growing up, the event that actually changed my life was one particular summit where I attended. And I saw a lady on the stage and she was, speaking, presenting, and all of those things. That was that defining moment for me. And that was what we thought about and said, yeah, let's have this thing also in Samaru. Let's have this event in Samaru where we can bring speakers from around the globe and, come and, talk to us about, share their findings, their stories, how they've reinvented themselves, how they've become the global people that they have, how they become successful people that they have. And it's from these stories that we tend to also find ourselves, just like our speaker today has been doing so far, sharing his experiences. And yeah, so please let's give him a round of applause. This has been a very, 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 very interesting conversation. It has been valued part. I don't even know how much knowledge I've written down so far. As I was talking, I was just writing a lot of things. Even on the community platform, we had so many knowledge. Like a lot of people were just writing phrases, catching things, like so many remarks. Let me put it that way. And yeah, in fact, I would say like, okay, this I have a phrase I actually used to go on with and say life was not created to be hard. And just like you've mentioned as well, it's all about playing. So I think we have to do more of play than do more of work. Do more of just try to find that balance or try to become more playful in the way we approach life. Yeah. So thank you very much for that. So yes, if you want to connect with
Hello, sir.
Mr. Okay,
Hello,
okay,
sir.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry, please. I've been trying to. I don't know. I don't just want Mr. Tola to leave because I just feel I have one question I want to ask, please.
Okay, okay, go
Concerning
ahead.
this
We'll take it.
play and strategy, is it applicable only to an individual or let's say a country or a nation? Does because most times now you see people will say a country cannot survive on spirituality. It has to be strategy. So I don't know how that is it for an individual or for a group, community, or any development like that? Thank
Asma, that's a good question. Is it for an individual or for a collective? You know, I really believe that it's it applies a lot to it applies more to individuals than it does to a country. But then that said, a country can make it easy for people to play and also make it hard for people to play. And that's why here in Nigeria, because of our structure in terms of governance, it is hard for people to play because people are so sustenance, so survival minded. And where they survive, survival is the biggest enemy of play. Survival in itself is the biggest enemy of spirituality. So a lot of people confuse it. They kind of feel, oh, Nigerians are spiritual people. But we are really aren't. What we are is survival minded. So our level of spirituality is God help me, God help me, God help me. God I want, God give me, God give me. We are really not in a place. If you want to look for places that are really spiritual minded, go to Asia. You understand? The Asians are more spiritual minded because they kind of have a more stable society. So the more you go from Asia, you go from China, India, you go even to the Arab countries, they are more spiritually minded. You understand? And that way, in the end, you might see them advancing even more. But when you come more towards Africa, because governance has been so bad over the past few years, people have locked themselves down in this survival mind. So everything is about what to do to eat. And then we become not more, we become just a little higher than animals because that's what animals think about. Animals, I have dogs. My dogs, what they do every day is wake up and think of what they are going to eat. You understand? I have tortoises. I like animals a lot. I used to have cats. Animals, that's their basic instinct. Eat. When they eat in the day, then every other thing is by the way. That's how we live here too. And so, what I'm trying to do is for the individual to be able to live beyond that basic instinct of let me do it to eat, let me do it to feed my family. You were created for more than that. And that's why I like having conversations like this because if you don't have conversations like this, we will all resort back to that basic instinct of do it to eat. But we must know that there's something higher than that. There's something higher than that. And so it's an individual thing that we should learn to propagate. And then, like you're doing right now, and I love this community. I love what you guys are doing. You guys are propagating something individually that you are doing as a collective. And very soon, this collective that is talking to me will begin to be a collective of different people. Now, when I say different people, I mean people that think differently from other people in Samaru. Do you understand? Other people they don't realize that you guys are different, and they just realize that why are you different? You just say, I'm a member of this community. You'll see, why is Asma different? Asma to say, I'm a member of this community. And say, oh, you guys have a common thought. And then in the long run, give you guys some years, you guys will change the whole of KD. And from change the whole of KD, you change the whole of the North. Because you keep growing. So a lot of you get married, start having children, you foster those characters in your children. Before you know it, a country changes from an individual that decides to hold on to values. So that's why I don't take for granted talking to communities like I don't, even if it was one person that showed up today, I would talk the same way I've spoken because that one person is a seed of many people. So yeah, it is a country thing, but it starts with one person that really believes that this is what they should do, that really believes that I should play more. And I will say this: play is the freedom to express. Play is not particularly going to say I'm playing with sand or playing with toys. No, it's not. I'm not talking about childish play. I'm talking about childlike play. There are two different things: childishness and childlikeness. Childishness is when you are playing in a non-thought, nonsensical way. Childlikeness is when you are playing in an honest way. You understand? You are not trying to manipulate anybody. You are playing honestly. You understand? You are playing honestly with all good intentions, just like how children play. Not childish, but childlike. So live your life in a childlike way, not holding ruggedly to anything, but be open to doing things differently, thinking about things differently, seeing life differently, expressing yourself without judging yourself too much, making mistakes without drawing back and say, I will never do this thing because I made this mistake. You understand? That's what children do. Children will fall today and start crying. They will fall when running. They will cry for like a minute and then they will go back to running again. Adults will fall and never go back to that place where they fell again. You understand? You must be childlike in your approach to life, and then you will get the best out of life. Life will give you its best. But a lot of times you try to go to life to squeeze the best out. You're not meant to squeeze out. Life offers you the best.
Wow, wow, wow. I was here just clocking. This is it. This is the word. Yeah. If you were interested, I would say word. Yeah, I was just saying, yeah, this is you eat it very much, sir. Thank you very much. In fact, I'm still getting a lot of questions, but we have to put this to an end. Like we have to end it here so that we don't take too much time from than we already taken from Mr. Tola. Please let's give him a round of applause. Let's appreciate him coming, and please let's give him let's yeah, you can always follow him on he's on LinkedIn. I think he's also Alabi on LinkedIn. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. Just search his name, you see it. And then he has a pro up masterclass on Spotify, which you can check on Spotify. I don't know if someone can help you drop the link. You can check Spotify there. And then if you are so much interested about this, we are coming again with fire next month. We started last month. We had Mr. Yako come speak to us. Today we have Mr. Alabi. Next month is going to be altar, so you have to look out. You don't have to miss. When you miss, you snooze, and you release your steez. So you get. So yeah. So thank you for sharing that link. I really appreciate that. So now let's do the selfie, please. Before you leave, you must on that camera. That's also what we are talking about. We have to play. We have to play. So put on that camera now. Let's have that screenshot before we so that we have that selfie. We're going to do it. I'm giving you like 1 minute for that. Is everybody ready? Everybody ready? Please put it on, put it on, put it on, put it on. If you've gotten so much value, you have to also, let's start implementing, let's start experimenting that. Put the camera on, please. I can see a lot of people. Yeah. Hey, I can see Adamu. I can see Tinubu. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Adamu, yeah. Adamu, I can see Asma. No, Asma has not put on camera. Karim has not put on camera. Boxon has not put on the camera. Please put this on, put this on, put this on. Let's do it so that we have the selfie. Somebody said you look like rats. You don't look like rats. That's what we are talking about here. We have to have that child like, please, you don't want to be the one missing out and not being on this call. Oh yeah. Let's put the camera on, put the camera. Hey, now I'm seeing the faces. I'm seeing the faces. I'm here to see Aisha. I'm here to see your face, so don't worry. He's not here. So please put it on, put it on. Are we ready? I'm going to count 5 down from 5, 4, 3. Then when I count from 5 to 1, then we'll shout to events and we'll take the screenshots. Who is ready to take the screenshots? Please, the media team, make sure you take the screenshots. So you are ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reinvent. Yeah. Thank you very much all for joining. And please look forward to having you all again in the next session, in the next episode of this pre-event series. It's going to be happening next month again. And then after that, next month, we are going to have the main event, which is TEDx Samaru, live in Samaru. TEDx event is going to be happening, and we are bringing amazing speakers. I can see you agree with me that we brought quite a lot of speakers already. We've seen speakers, AFSATs, just so many amazing speakers, and we didn't just pick them from nowhere. We had to pick them based on your needs, based on the needs we've identified in the community and what we could that you could actually get value from. the value is going to be much, and I promise you, it's so going to be much more. So yes, thank you once again, Mr. Alabi. We really, really appreciate your presence. It has been an amazing session so far. And we thank you everyone for joining from wherever you are. Not saying that I know a lot of people that they have to borrow power bank to join this call. I know people that they have to borrow food, they have to, those kind of things. Yeah, but we are really so glad to have you here, and we look forward to having you on the next session. And if you are not yet part of our community, please check the comment section. You'll see. Um, sorry, Mr. T. Alabi, I saw you raising up your answer.
No, 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 no. I know that was an accident.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if you are not yet on our community platform, please click the link. There's a WhatsApp link in the chat section. Please click the link and join. Join so that you can have. We are going to be announcing tickets very soon, so you can get first-hand information. That's where all of these things are happening. Even this webinar series, you get to know about them first before anybody gets to know about it. So yeah, thank you all for joining. And yeah, do have a lovely night rest. A lovely night rest. Bye bye. Cheers. Cheers. Maintain your steez. Make sure you maintain your steez, but keep playing. Keep playing, like you have said, like Mr. T has advised us. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. Maintain steez, but play. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. Thank you all. Thank you all for joining. We really so appreciate you all for joining. Yeah. Thank you very much, Grace. Grace Jason. Thank you. I can see the Manuel Gonji. Thank you. And Mahmoud Fadullah, Ayelero, Fortune. Thank you very much all for joining. Yeah, I think we're done for the day. DJ, you can take over. You can give us a do before we end the call finally. But yeah, if you still want to stay and be listening to our Spotify playlist, that's a Revention playlist. And yes, I think we should share that again because I've been listening to that playlist and it's so amazing. So yeah, DJ, you can take over. It's over to you now.